Hey, welcome everybody to That Rocks. Eddie Trunk here with Jim Florentine. We do not know the whereabouts of our third host, Don Jameson. He popped on. He had some sort of, oh, wait, there he is. He's back. We lost him. He's returned. We didn't have him there for a second, but now we have the gang all here. Don Jameson, Jim Florentine, Eddie Trunk, good to be with you for another week of That Rocks. Talking rock with you here only on YouTube and always with a cool guest. And today is no exception as we welcome to the show the king of the whammy bar, Mr. Brad Gillis of Night Ranger, formerly, of course, with Ozzy Osbourne as well. Jim, what's going on, man? Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. I didn't get to any shows this week. Aerosmith, they did, 3 shows, and they had to cancel for a while. I wanted to go to that first show, and I said, I always want to see those shows early because you never know what's going to happen with that tour, and I missed it. Who knows what's going to happen with it? And I was up, I really wanted to see the last Kix show, but it was too far, way down in Maryland, so I didn't get a chance to see that one. They just finished up this past Sunday, so.
Yeah, Aerosmith is supposed to resume in Tampa on October 11th. I think everybody's kind of holding their breath, crossing their fingers that actually happens and they actually get through these dates. We'll find out if they resume then. And, hopefully Steven's doing okay. There's always something swirling around with that band, unfortunately. But the 3 shows that happened, everybody raved about the people who saw them. So hopefully they can get back out on the horse and do that. And we should talk about Kix actually for a second, wrapping up. But before we do, let's say hello to, on the bottom square there, Mr. Don Jameson. Donnie boy, you did something with Lita Ford, huh?
Yeah, it was her birthday last night. And I went up to upstate New York and I hosted a party for her. And, it was a concert. She was playing a show up there. And we made a little birthday party out of it. Cupcakes and bourbon and a hotel lobby party. And it was a really fun night, man.
I know you're not supposed to ask a lady her age, but she's not here. How old is Lita now?
I mean, it's not polite to reveal that kind of thing. So if people want to find out,
yeah. All right.
Well, if there was only a device,
all right. How much does she weigh? How much does she weigh then?
About 126.
All right, that's good.
She looked great, and she sounded great as usual. Killer band. There's a picture of us hanging out after the show. And and my pick of the week is related to our evening of music there, but cool venue up there called The L, and it's a church, actually, but with a proper sound system, giant stage, the big lighting truss, all that stuff.
Where in upstate New York? What town?
It's called Horseheads, New York.
Never heard of it. Is it up by Syracuse?
It's up by Cortland.
Oh, Cortland. Okay, that's where Ronnie was from. Ronnie James Dio.
Yes. Yeah, and so a bunch of people there from Cortland. Yeah, and someone brought me this. They do a Dio Day there. So this fan brought a T-shirt, a Dio Day T-shirt. Fan named Steve, who and also brought me some Leonard Skinner vinyl as well, which was very cool of them. So thank you, gifts from the fans up there. Really cool people. But we were in the bigger room, and in the small room was Shaggy 2 Dope. So you go out in the lobby and you see people going to, the concessions, and it's like half 80s rockers and half 13-year-old juggalos with their faces painted. So it was a good people watching night too, for sure. And we had a little bourbon during the Bob Rock drum solo. Had a little birthday drink. Just good people up there. Big Hair Radio gave me a bunch of stuff, and it was really cool. She was really in a great mood, and the audience all brought her gifts. So lots of fun, man.
The reason why I asked how old Lita was is because she looked so great when you put that picture up. It's amazing how, and she started so young, because the Runaways, I think she was like 17 or 18. So she still, looks amazing. And we, of course, for those that are newer listeners or watchers to That Rocks, we had Lita on a few episodes ago. all the old episodes. There's about 18? What is this, number 19? Whatever it is. All archived for you guys to check out here on YouTube. So just go back and find them if you're just discovering the show. But yeah, Lita's amazing. And of course, we loved having her here. And as everybody knows, she has history with us as the first ever guest in the history of our old show on That Metal Show. So real quick, before I got a couple things to talk about, but before we do that, you mentioned Kix. So I saw Kix their third to last show at Rocklahoma. I didn't go to their final show this past Sunday in Maryland either because I had a conflict. I was traveling. But I got to say, I know people that went. I saw photos. I saw the set list. I saw what they did. I saw some write-ups. I don't think you could end in a more appropriate, classy way for the right reasons, because they didn't want to stay too long at the party. They didn't want people saying, hey, that guy sucks now. He's not any good. You should have seen him back in the day. They went out strong, packed house in a huge place in their hometown. And they are a band, Don, and I know, and I agree with you when you say nobody ever really ends. They are a band that knowing Steve and those guys like I do, and the reasons they're ending, I think we have seen the last of them. I don't see Steve coming back at all. I think he's very at peace with this decision.
Yes, I agree 100%. And, in an earlier episode, I mentioned that I went over to Steve's house when I was down in Hagerstown a few months ago, and we sat by the pool and had some beers, and he was very, very secure and relaxed with his decision. He was very certain about it. But as you have always pointed out on the radio, and as we have pointed out on That Metal Show and this show, there is still a logo that will sell tickets. So maybe this is not the end of Kix.
Look, the idea of doing Kix without Steve, and Steve told me, he told the other guys they could.
Foreigner, no original members. Leonard Skinner, no original members.
Way bigger bands. Way bigger bands. I don't see that happening, and I think it would be wrong to happen. It would be wrong to happen. I don't think it should happen, even though Steve said it should. I don't think it makes any sense to have Kix without Steve Whiteman personally, but to each their own.
I agree 100% with everything you say, which means it's going to happen.
So wait,
That's
so
my
Steve,
prediction.
Eddie, Steve said that he would be okay if they went on without him. Okay.
Listen to my, if you didn't hear my interview with Steve just before the final show on my SiriusXM show, it's now free to everyone as my podcast. And we got into all of this. Steve was super candid about why they were ending, the reasons for it. There's certain things he can't sing anymore. He doesn't want to be a shell of what he once was. He acknowledges so many of his peers have stayed way too long at the party, made a mockery of what they're doing now. He didn't want to be that guy. I got so much respect for that. But he did say that he told the other guys that he'd be fine if they wanted to still go out and make a living and find another singer, but they all agreed it wouldn't be right. It wouldn't be Kix. That's what he said they told him. But he did offer to them saying he'd be fine with it if they wanted to do it just to try to make a living.
Yeah, that would be tough to pull off without Steve.
I mean, it's look, Don's right. There's a ton of bands from that era with no original members. Vixen, one original member now, it's the drummer. I mean, there's tons that have had replacement singers. And I agree, promoters and people seem to buy the logo, and I'm sure they could find a young guy. Great White has had 4 singers, Skid Row's on their 4th or 5th singer. I'm sure they could find people to do it, but I mean, Steve is such a focal point of that band, but again, you've seen other guys do it. So now that I'm talking about it, the only reason why I'm saying no so much is because Steve said he offered it to them and they said no.
Well, I don't think
nobody ever keeps their cards close to their chest.
I don't think they could say yes right away. Go, okay, cool. So you're going to do the last show, and then a month later we got another guy coming in. They got to lay low for a little while. But
wait
look,
a minute.
I could see Larry bringing him back on a Monster Rock cruise in 2 years. A Kix reunion, one show maybe.
No, not with Steve. Steve's done. Steve is so done. Steve is so over it, which to me means Kix is done. But here's the thing. Here's the other part about it with Kix. hold on. Think about this. If they did what you guys are talking about, and again, there's a lot of people have done it, right or wrong, doing it, right? Who's left? Another reason they're ending is because Jimmy had 2 heart attacks and died on stage. He can't play and tour and sing anymore. He's out. Ronnie has been out for a while because he's got addiction problems. They only brought him out for a couple songs. He can't do it. Mark Schenker's not the original guy. Huh?
He's clean. Ronnie's clean 2 years. Why couldn't he come back in?
It wasn't clean enough that they even let him do the full show the other night, that they were worried or whatever. So,
but the new version might take him back.
Well, okay. Ronnie's a question.
And you're the first guy.
I know.
You're
but
the first guy who says that anyone can tour with a logo, and I agree with you. And why are you fighting me on this?
Because I just don't think they're the kind of band that would do it. I could totally be wrong. But the other thing is, what I'm just saying is, we're making it so much about Steve. Jimmy is got to shut it down. Ronnie has been in and out with addiction issues. Mark Schenker, as great as he is, not the original guy. So if in this hypothetical scenario, the only guy that'd be running the show would be Brian Forsyth. And Brian just had a health scare. I don't know if you guys would have heard what happened to Brian, but he's still not right. He had a carbon monoxide detector go bad in his house. He installed a new water heater. He had a stroke from carbon monoxide poisoning. He still hasn't recovered. So these guys have all had these crazy health scares. They just, Brian's still going to keep playing with Rhino Bucket. But outside of that, I don't know. Anyway, we'll see. We love him. We wish him the best. And if this is the end, which they've all said it is, I don't think he could have ended in a classier way than the way they handled it. We'll see. I agree. Nobody's ever really done, but maybe they are. Anyway, real quick on my end, 2 things I need to mention. Since I was on with you guys last, I announced an event for my 40th year in radio. It's going to be in Vegas, December 11th at the House of Blues. Sammy Hagar, Michael Anthony, tons of guests, big jam. And I'm giving all the proceeds to the Dio Cancer Fund, something that had been in the works for a long time. I finally announced it. And today we did a pre-sale on the tickets, and they sold out in about 30 seconds, which is insane. Now, we only sold the upper level today, the balcony. I'm going to try to reconfigure things to be able to sell some tickets on the floor closer to the event. So if you tried to get in and you got shut out, I will try to release more tickets in a month or so when we know what's available. I just sent out all my invites to my guests, so I got to see what's left as to how much room there is. You guys should have gotten the invites. I texted them out to everybody. I was going through my phone like for 3 days, going alphabetically to sending out invites. So tons of invited guests, but I did want to have some listeners there, viewers there, and that went on sale today and went like that. So thank you. And I hear you. We're going to try to release more tickets. Should be an amazing, huge night. I did a party for my 25th year. Judas Priest played. 30th year, Ace Frehley, Peter Criss played. Don and Jim were there at those. And this is 40 years. So I was on the fence about doing something. My friend said, you got to do it. 40 is a milestone. So, Vegas is my second home and a place I love. And it's a no-brainer for me to do it there this time around. So I hope everybody can make it out. If you're lucky enough to get a ticket, or if you were invited, make sure you RSVP early so we save you a spot. So that's going on. And the other thing for me that I want to mention real quickly is on Monday, I went to Nashville and I was invited by Billy Gibbons and the music publishing company, BMI. Billy was given a Songwriters Award. There we are together on Monday night. And they were nice enough to ask me to come out and speak at the dinner and say a few words. I did. It was awesome. I've gotten to know Billy really well over the years. Amazing guy. And we had a great dinner, and he was given the Troubadour Award, which is a Songwriters Award by BMI in Nashville. So I thank the ZZ Top Camp and Billy and BMI and Clay there for having me there to do that. I went up on stage in front of some of the biggest names in music and the biggest names in the industry, told a few stories. People seemed to like it. And that's the guy I had dinner with, who most people know if you're into country music is a huge star in that world, Keith Urban. And here's the crazy story about him. So it was assigned seating. It was like a wedding. And I sit down and I'm like, this guy looks familiar. And it's Keith Urban. So I introduce myself to everybody at the table, and Keith is sitting right next to me. And I go, hi, I'm Eddie Trunk. And he just looks at me. He's like, I know who you are, man. I'm a huge fan. Blew my mind. He used to watch our show. He listens to the radio show that I do. He's a huge rock fan. We talked about Iron Maiden after dinner. He grew up in Australia, telling me about going to see Maiden on the Number of the Beast tour. Great guy. Gave me his number. He's like, I got to catch my plane. I got to go do something. It was great talking to you. He went up on stage. He played Rough Boy by ZZ Top, posted the video on my social media. Amazing. Everyone always told me he was a great guitar player. Amazing. Super great guy. Huge rock fan. And it was so cool to hang out with him and get to know him. And I was sitting there talking to him because just me, I kick right into it. And he's like, he stops. He goes, holy shit. I'm actually being interviewed by Eddie Trunk. He turned to his manager. He goes, I was hoping we could do this sometime. So I said to him, hey, man, come on. Let's do it for real. Come on the shows. So who knows? Maybe we'll do something with him here on the radio. But great guy, great rock guy. And it was really cool to meet him and have dinner with him.
Did you meet his wife?
No, you know what's crazy? And I got to tell you, Jim, the God's honest truth. I had no idea he was married to Nicole Kidman. True. I know nothing about that whole world at all, like even like who's married to who or whatever. But the minute I told everybody, they were all like, was Nicole Kidman there? And I was like, oh, and I wasn't sure if you, and then when they said it, I kind of remembered it. And then I was like, I don't know if they're still married or what, but apparently they are. They got kids, but no, she was not there.
Did he say that a lot of people call him Don Jameson by accident?
No, he didn't.
Or do I just get Keith Urban all the time?
Why? People really think you look like him?
Huh?
No, he didn't say that. Do people really think you look like him?
Oh, yeah. They yell out when I'm on stage. They yell out Keith Urban. Yeah.
Put the picture up again, Joe. You'd see the similarity. Oh, yeah. It looks just like Don.
If Don had the blonde hair, yeah.
Don, you get some neck tattoos?
Well, he's got neck tattoos?
Yeah, put the picture back up. He's got a whole thing going on.
I thought that was maybe a hickey you gave him.
Well,
no, see? He's got all tattoos. See the neck thing going up his neck.
Yeah, I thought that was from your beard. Maybe you were like...
Yeah.
You guys were snuggling. Yeah.
That was the most beard I ever grew. I did it in honor of Billy Gibbons, so.
Right.
But it was a really nice night. Billy's wife was there. His wife's mother was there. And his managers and all these... Chris Isaac was there. Lucinda Williams, Steve Cropper, Nashville, you throw a stone, there's an amazing musician. And I didn't know all the people, but I talked to Chris Isaac a little bit, but Keith Urban was literally sitting right next to me. So we just, we carved up our dinners and talked the whole time. Awesome guy. Really nice.
Nice.
Cool.
So we should get to our top six.
Yeah. So we got Brad Gillis coming up, and obviously we love Night Ranger. Night Ranger, a band that I think is so unfairly pigeonholed as like a power ballad band because their biggest song, of course, was One. But in reality, anybody that knows anything knows for the last 41 years, they have been a blazing two-guitar hard rock band. Phenomenal still to this day. So in honor of Brad joining us shortly, it is our 6 favorite Night Ranger songs. Let's get it started.
All right, my number 6 is Sing Me Away. They just write some great albums, radio songs, and this is one of them. They got so many of them, it was really tough to choose. I always like the harder stuff, but Sing Me Away, I had to put in there. It had to be in my top 6.
And that's a Kelly, right? Ed?
Yeah.
I think Kelly sings that song. Yep.
With Jack, They trade off a lot.
Yeah.
If there was only a device. My number 6 is, I can't even see.
This Boy Needs to Rock. This Boy Needs to Rock.
This Boy Needs to Rock. Yes, from 1985, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes you just crank up your guitar, you write a great riff, and, they're great at writing songs about rocking. What can I say? Before we could still rock in America. This boy needed to rock, and so he did. And that's my number 6.
All right. My number 6 is this is super poppy, but I love it. It's so and you want to talk about the trade-off in vocals. This is Jack and Kelly trading off on lead vocals, but it's such a great song, and it's got that. What I love about Night Ranger is the crunch against the hooks and the pop side, and that song personifies it. It was a huge hit, and I will never forget. Every time I hear it now, about 7-8 years ago, Night Ranger was on the Monsters of Rock cruise, and I was standing at the pool stage watching Night Ranger with our friend Chad Stewart from Faster Pussycat, and the two of us, grown men, singing into each other's eyes. When you close your eyes, do you dream about me? The visual of that, we had our arms around each other and singing as we held each other in the salt air. So I always think of that now forever when I think of that song, but I loved it before that too. So that's my number 6.
My number 5 is the same song, When You Close Your Eyes. Yeah, it's just amazing. The hooks in this song, it's so, yeah, it's I mean, it's super poppy and commercial, but the dueling guitars and all that, the melody, and it's phenomenal.
Dueling vocals, everything.
Yeah. So When You Close Your Eyes, my number 5.
Jim will have to sing that to each other tomorrow night at the gig. My 5 is a newer song from the ATBPO album. You know, I think, well, I certainly wanted to represent some of the modern stuff that Night Ranger's done. I think the last 3 albums were all really strong. 17, they did an album with Joel Hoekstra, and then this one, of course, has Kerry Kelly playing guitar on here, along with Brad, obviously, and just a straight-ahead hard rocker, which would really fit in anywhere in their catalog. It's very recognizable. It's the dual lead guitar at the beginning of this. It starts out very Thin Lizzy, but then it's instantaneously recognizable as Night Ranger. So that's my number 5.
All right, my number 5 is Rumors in the Air. Again, just an incredible song from the second record. There's this cool guitar volume thing going on in the beginning of the song. And again, it just personifies everything that I love about Night Ranger, the melody versus the incredible guitar playing. So it was always one of my favorites. And as you can see, second track on the second record, and it is my number 5.
My number 4, I'm going back to the debut Dawn Patrol. Eddie's coming out tonight. Friggin' so heavy. Is that, wait? Yeah, okay.
Eddie is spelled wrong, but that's all right.
Yeah. But anyway, Eddie's coming out. You have something to say, Eddie?
Was this about a certain period in your life?
I know, when you met Keith Urban. But yeah, it's a great song.
No, when I was singing to Chad Stewart.
Yeah. But yeah, just great song. That's my number 4. Eddie's coming out tonight.
Yeah, that is a really good song. 4 for me is the song Night Ranger. There you go. Yeah, just a killer, straight ahead hard rock song. I love when they play it live, and it's a song about them. So that's my number 4.
Which then they've been playing that live lately, and it's heavy. It's so heavy. That riff is so great.
Yep.
All right, my number 4 is come on, the anthem. You Can Still Rock in America, or they as they would say, You Can Still Rock in America, and it's. Anyway, come on, the open, the whole thing. I mean, the anthem, the message, everything.
The whole thing already.
I love the fact, that. So the guy on the far right in that photo, Alan Fitzgerald, Fitz, the keyboard player, who's not in the band anymore. He was the guy, like his whole look the whole time he was in the band and the videos and everything, he was wearing scrubs. There was even one video, I think he was wearing a surgical mask with the scrubs. What a look. If you can think about that, you never have to stress like what you're going to wear in photos or the videos. You just put scrubs on like you're doing surgery. It's amazing. Every photo we've shown so far, he's always in those scrubs.
We'll have to
Amazing.
ask Brad about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, my number 3 is off the Somewhere in California record, came out in 2011. Growing Up in California, great song. It could easily have been on like the first record. Just a killer song. This just popped up on my playlist one day. I never heard this record a few months back. I'm like, God damn, this is a good song. So, Growing Up in California is my number 3.
All right, my number 3 is the big one.
Wow,
Sister
you're going with the
Christian.
big hit. Look at you.
Harry Hits.
Well, yeah. Well, for Boogie Nights alone, you got to put it on the list. I mean, I have no idea what they're talking about in the lyrics. I used to think that's how I sing it, but it's just listen, it's a ballad. It's catchy. Every single person on the face of the earth knows this song. I think of the scene in Boogie Nights with the firecrackers, the whole thing already. Because they're such great guys. And speaking of Mr. Chad Stewart, Chad and I have gone up on stage with the Night Ranger guys and butchered the song with them. And so I'm always grateful to them for letting us come up and sing this, because it's a great sing along. And maybe Chad and I might even got hammered a few times on the road on the Faster Pussycat tour and karaoke'd it and videoed it and sent it to Brad Gillis in the middle of the night. But I can't confirm or deny that. That's my number 3.
I'm sure he enjoyed that coming in at like 4 a.m. Pacific time. So my number 3 is Sing Me Away. Jim, you had this, right?
Yeah, I had that number 6.
Yeah.
No,
so
that's the band Sing Me Away.
Oh, call back to last week, folks. Sing Me Away is, again, I'm redundant here, but the thing about Night Ranger was always these amazing harmonies, these amazing hooks, but against crunchy, ripping guitar, and Sing Me Away is that in a nutshell. So that riff, so great. That's my number 3.
My number 2 is, I think it was Eddie's pick earlier, You Could Still Rock in America. Unbelievable anthem. When they play this thing live, the place goes nuts. You get chills listening to the song. So much energy to this song, too. I love it. So that's my number 2.
All right, my number 2, Don't Tell Me You Love Me. Wow, what a Jesus, the guitars in the song, the solo is unbelievable. The dual solo at the end is unbelievable. I love that guitar picking part at the beginning, guitar picking thing, and then it kicks right into the riff. And this is one of their classic sing-alongs. So that's my number 2.
Jack looking like a young Paul McCartney in that photo.
Yeah.
All right. I'm next. Number 2, Night Ranger maybe at their heaviest. Touch of Madness from the Midnight Madness record. They bust this one out still live a lot of times. Brad Gillis goes off at the end with the whammy bar. And Night Ranger, not a metal band, but if they got close to it, it's probably with this song, and it's my number 2.
My number 1 is the opening track off the first record, Dawn Patrol, Don't Tell Me You Love Me. So heavy. What a great song to start that record off. Especially after Brad leaves Ozzy. I don't know too much about him, and then he's in this band, Night Ranger. I'm like, well, I got to check this out because I like Brad's stuff. We briefly played with Ozzy, and then they open with this song. Phenomenal. That's
Fitz
my number
isn't
1.
in the Scrubs in that picture.
No. He hadn't perfected that look yet. My number 1 is You Can Still Rock in America and Dress Like a Doctor at the same time. This boy needs to rock, and then you could still rock in America. And with all the talk, people throwing around that phrase, rock is dead, this is the answer to that. You can still rock in America. That's my number 1.
My number 1 was easy. It's the first song I ever heard from the band, from the first record. I was my last year of high school. I was watching MTV, and I remember seeing the video come on, and this little guy playing bass and singing great with these two amazing guitar players trading off. Jeff Watson, amazing, no longer in the band, but amazing. Brad Gillis, amazing. Everything I loved about rock music, melody, heaviness, ripping solos. And that was the first time I ever heard Night Ranger. And then Night Ranger just had me intro them when they opened for Bret Michaels in New Jersey. And because I was telling him a story about how when I first saw them on that tour, I was in high school and I saw them at an amusement park, free show. Like, oh, you got to tell that story. So I went out there and did that, and just brought back so many memories. That was the easy no-brainer. My introduction to the band, still my favorite song. And real quick, you guys were touching on new music from them. We should not overlook the fact that they still make new music, and some of it, a lot of it's really, really good. They have a song on a record about 3 albums ago. I think the record's called Hole in the Sun. But the song on it is called Tell Your Vision. It is, that again, super heavy for them. And as far as newer songs from the recent records, I got to give that one a shout out as an addition. Tell Your Vision. Check that out if you never heard it. It rips.
That's a great one, Ed. Absolutely.
Well, our guest is here, so we might as well bring Brad in.
Yeah. And we're going to get
Bradley
to the bottom of the Scrubs look.
Well,
there he is.
Now I got to go back and listen to Tell Your Vision.
Tell Your Vision was kick ass, man. That's not that old of a song.
No, that's like, that came out like 10 years ago. Dan. We've done a few since then.
Man, I can't believe it's been that long.
I think I was listening to you guys. It's just too much fun because I got to tell you, Don't Tell Me You Love Me is definitely my favorite because, we hit that one hard. We kind of do something cool, break it down in the middle, do a little something on top of it to spread it out a little bit. It's so much fun to play. These solos great to play, and the audience gets off on it so much. So, if you want to ask my favorite, Don't Tell Me You Love Me.
Hey, Brad, one of the big things that I love so much about the band, like I talked about back then, is the melody versus the heaviness. And then, of course, at that time, it was you and Jeff Watson, an incredible duo. How did you guys determine back then when you were working on these songs how to break up who played what? Because there was so much cool stuff, much like you do now with Kerry Kelly. But back then on those early records, his style versus your style and the trade-off and the harmony stuff was such a cool element of the band. How did you guys divvy that up? How did you make those decisions?
Well, basically, I kind of, I would go from the get-go. I want to play this. And Chuck would go, I want to play that. And then we go, I want to play this. I want to play that on the same song. So what do? We do a harmony. we both do the harmonies, or we do trade-off solos, Eddie's coming out tonight. Classic example. I do the solo, but then I do the first run up, then Jeff does the second one, then me third one, and fourth one. Then we solo out together. We just had so much fun back in the studio back in the day in the 80s. We partied a lot, but when it came down to doing solos, I looked after him and he looked after me. Basically what I'm saying is we kind of egged each other on to get out the best of each other because we knew our potential back then. And we knew that it was going to be a great record. And, I would sit there and just go, come on, Jeff, do it again. And the producer, Pat Glasser, would go, no, that's good. I go, no, he could do it again. And Jeff's like, yeah. And he'd do it again. And all of a sudden it would get better and better. And that's, we needed that back then because we didn't want this big ego going between Jeff and I. And, but we had totally two different styles. So, which was awesome because he did what he did and I did what I did. And when you hear the records, you pretty much know who's soloing in it. If it's me, it's him. But, getting together, we kind of wanted to go with that Allman Brothers, Judas Priest, double harmony, Leonard Skinner, whatever. We wanted to do that on the record, but make it more, just melodic rock, not too heavy. We wanted to make it commercially viable. So we really had a blast with those records, but then the song "Sister Christian" came around, and who's going to do the solo on that? And I thought, me.
And why did you know immediately it was going to be a hit?
Well, you got to realize we had a lot of songs for the first record. We didn't, we only wanted to put a certain amount on the record and save the rest of the songs for the second record. But we wanted to put Sister Christian on that first Dawn Patrol record. But the record company came to us and said, I think it's we don't want you to be one of these, freshman first one record bands, come out, you do well, and the second record, pooches out. So their idea was to hold off and to plant that on the Midnight Madness record, which was a great call on their end because it sustained our viability and took us to that totally next level. And then we had to write new songs for the second record. And then, Jack and I went in and we did Still Rockin'. We wrote Still Rockin' America. Then all these other songs started coming together. But the 1-2 punch for the Midnight Madness record with You Can Still Rockin' America and then Sister Christian.
Sister Christian was around for the first record. It was that early?
Yes, we saved that for the second record, and it was a
Wow.
good call by the record company because it really worked for us. And I'll never forget, when we came out with Don't Tell Me Let Me, you got to realize MTV just came out, 24/7 format. They didn't have enough music videos to fill that void. And what do? They played Don't Tell Me Let Me 25 times a day.
That's how I found you guys. Yeah.
It was super awesome. People maybe got tired of it, but it got embedded in their brains, And of course, radio, we were all over radio. It was, nationwide hit and everything. And, we did put out Sing Me Away after that, did a video. It didn't really do that well. But the thing was, we got lucky on touring, after I did my stint with Ozzy. And of course, Rudy Sarzo quit to go with Quiet Riot, boom, over the top. And then I quit towards the end, boom. Speak of the Devil with Ozzy and Dawn Patrol with Night Ranger were both released the same week in late 1982. So Album Network magazine at the very bottom, of course, you guys know Album Network is a trade magazine that went to all the radio stations where they would look and see who's playing what, and who's getting the most phone-ins and the best songs to play on the radio, because that's what was taken off. The very bottom of Album Network magazine, their 2 picks of the week was Speak of the Devil, Ozzy Osbourne, Night Ranger, Dawn Patrol. So that was, for me, it was like, oh my gosh, I had 2 picks of the week on that. And, it was a beautiful, beautiful period in my life because, playing with Ozzy was a wonderful thing. It was very scary. A lot of drama, the tragic death of Randy Rhoads, me stepping into that. It was freaking heavy, man. And to be able to get back with my boys and Night Ranger and to release Dawn Patrol, come out with Don't Tell Me Levy. And then what did we do? We went out opening for Kiss. So that wasn't bad either. So, and then now it's 40 years later, man. And, we're still doing it. We had a great summer. That Bret Michaels Party Girl tour was absolutely awesome. We did, an average of 8,000 a night. And that's, we didn't know what to expect. And it did very well. And have Sugar Ray coming in there, do a couple of hits, and, Steve O'Jerry and Jefferson Starship opening up, and the big jam at the end of the night with, Sweet Home Alabama. And I was the lead guitar player for that when everybody came out. And I love to jam. I've been jamming with bands. That's one of my most favorite things to do. But it's been an awesome year, man. And now we got this new orchestration record coming out. So never a dull moment.
Hey, Brad, getting back to the Ozzy thing real quick. Were those Dawn Patrol songs already written when you were playing with Ozzy at the time?
Yes, they were. Those we started writing those songs when we got together in around 1980. I'll never forget the day going up to Jack's house in San Rafael up in Marin County, north of San Francisco. And, Jack and Kelly and I stayed together after the Rubicon, the 2 records with Rubicon. And then we kind of went through a couple things, a band called Stereo, where we kept the Jerry Martini, the saxophone player, in Rubicon. And that fizzled out. But we wanted to get back to our rock and roll roots. So Alan Fitzgerald, Fitz, our keyboard player, who had played with Sammy Hagar and of course, Ronnie Montrose. And he had quite a little career already. Fitz pretty much said, hey, man, I got this guitar player from Sacramento, totally different style from you, Brad. You should bring him out. We'll do this double harmony. And I wasn't into it. I thought, why do I need this, right? And I remember Jeff coming out and seeing us play. And then, basically what we did, after the show, when he watched us play as Stereo, which was kind of weird, and he thought the band was weird, I'm sure. Jeff and I got together, and I ended up going to his house and hanging out with him for like 2 days. we got to be best friends, man. I thought this guy's great. Him and I were pretty much we had the same, we just gelled, we just the meeting of the minds, partners in crime, I should say. Yeah. And then when we got together around 1980, we got together up at Jack's house, the 5 of us, and I swear in one day we wrote like 6 songs, man. And I remember "Don't Tell Me You Love Me" was halftime. It was, where the chorus, "Don't tell me you love me, don't tell me you love me," halftime. "Don't tell me double time," goes back to the double time, right? Well, the whole song was halftime, and we brought it up. Hey, man, let's just double time it and bring it halftime in the chorus, and that really put the fire into that tune. So we kept those songs together. We started going in the studio and recorded them. Gary Peel from Sammy's band, and play with Boston, and he had a lot to do with helping us record these first demos. And then we got together with Pat Glasser, our producer, and he funded us actually recording everything correctly in a big studio, and we were able to hold on to those and wait for a record deal. We had a hard time getting a record deal back then because it was tough, but because a lot of our stuff was pretty heavy, and so I put a band together called the Alameda All-Stars, and I would just go around and play the clubs in the Bay Area because Night Ranger, I should say, didn't want to play because nobody knew who we were. And there was no reason to go out and play for 15, 20, maybe 50 people, just to, it's embarrassing, when you're just playing, you're trying to get a following. We wanted to get a record deal and hit it big time. And, after my stint with Ozzy, when things were winding down, we got an offer with Boardwalk Records. If I were to leave Ozzy and rejoin Night Ranger, there was a record deal in hand, and so like I said, Rudy quit, and then I quit, and boom, we went in and finished that record, did whatever we had to do to finish. It was almost done anyway, whatever little remixes or maybe a solo or two. I don't remember. It was 40 something years ago, but so we released that, and then just came out with a bang, touring with Kiss.
Yeah.
No makeup.
Hey, going back to Sister Christian real quick. Obviously, I think most people identify Night Ranger with that song, and certainly, how did the Boogie Night? I'm the only one who had it in their top 6, by the way, because their lists are always wrong. But how did the whole thing with Boogie Nights come to pass?
Well, I got to tell you, we really had nothing to do with any of these placements and we've been in so many movies. They just pretty much say, hey, they they want to use your the song in the movie, and great. It's like you get excited, but we had no control on that. The music supervisors would go in and pick that song to fit that movie. And of course, our song was thrown into the pile to be able to pick and release. And boy, when we saw Boogie Nights, it was kind of crazy because we felt like we'd been in that guy's house before.
That's one of the greatest scenes in a movie ever. It's in my top 3 favorite scenes.
Little too close to home for you guys, Brad.
Yeah, in fact, we won't go there, but it was the 80s. It was a decade of decadence and having a lot of fun. But we had a lot of fun, but we knew when to stop, when to control ourselves, and not. It was always when the time was right. You have fun, whatever. But that song was great, and I don't know if you've seen. There's remakes of it on Family Guy. They do this. You got to look up Family Guy, Sister Christian, and they redo the Boogie Nights scene on Family. It's freaking hilarious. And you remember the movie? The guy's going, "Oh, I love the song." He goes, "Dun dun 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 dun." He's doing his hands up and down. He goes, "Motor," and in the movie, the Family Guy scene. He's in the drug dealer's house, and he's, "Oh, I love the song." Tequila. Oh, wrong song. McFarlane doing a spoof, but and we just had a song in Air, the movie, the Michael Jordan movie. They took all the biggest songs from 1984, and Sister Christian was one.
Oh yeah, I saw that. The movie about Nike, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was a good movie. I like that. That was good.
Sister
it was on Amazon or something. Yeah.
Yep.
Is it true you were asked to be a stunt double in some of the porn scenes in that movie? I heard something about that.
In Boogie Nights?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't tell people because they use only my lower half, but that's
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
You saw my other movie, Return of Donkey Man. You've seen that one?
Many times. Many times.
Hey, Brad, you know what I was always curious about? So I've always kind of half jokingly called you the king of the whammy bar because the way you use the tremolo bar is such a signature part of your sound. And I've always loved your playing, your tone. I mean, I love the way you played the Sabbath stuff on Speak of the Devil, obviously all the Night Ranger stuff. Where did that element of your playing come from? Like, where was the influence of that, the usage of the whammy bar and how you use it and where you use it and how often you use it? You've made it such a signature of your playing. Where did that come from? Where did that influence come from?
Well, it started when I had a 57 Strat back when I was about 18, 19 years old. And, Jeff Beck was out and doing a little bit, and Hendrix was using the bar and this before Eddie Van Halen. And I couldn't keep that thing in tune, man. I could not keep it in tune. Back then, you didn't have some of the tools that you have these days, like this nut sauce you put in there that keeps it loose. It slides through the strings.
Nut sauce. Does that tie in with your porno career?
Big Ben's nut
Yeah.
sauce.
Is that part of the Donkey Man?
Backstage when the Return of Donkey Man. But I couldn't keep it in tune. And then, of course, 1978 with Rubicon, and we're actually heading, March 18th, 1978. Rubicon is heading down to the Cal Jam 2, man. Biggest day of my life. 250,000 people. Aerosmith, Santana, Dave Mason Hart, Ted Nugent. Great day. But anyway, that's right about the time when Eddie Van Halen came out. And I remember, we're driving. I'm pretty sure we're driving down that gig or right around that time. And, Running with the Devil came out, and then, got the record and it's all this, his dive bombs, like, phew, he'd do, right? And I always wanted to be different and wanted a Floyd Rose. So basically I, here in the Bay Area around 1979, right after they came out and this Floyd Rose became popular, I found out there was one available at Don Weir's Music in San Francisco. And it was the number 3 Floyd Rose ever built. And he made these he made like 25.
Brad, let me just stop you right there. For the people like me and others that don't play guitar, explain what a Floyd Rose is.
Okay, a Floyd Rose is a tremolo system that replaced the tremolo whammy bar that were on Stratocasters mainly, and a few other guitars, but the Stratocaster mainly. Les Pauls didn't have them. They were straight up ridge, but this whammy, that little bar that sticks out is the whammy bar. Now, I couldn't keep my Fender whammy bar in tune, so this guy named Floyd Rose from Seattle, Washington, came up with this design, this very case-hardened steel solid one that you could put on your to replace your Fender whammy bar. And also you'd have to, at the end of the neck where the tuning pegs are, you need to route in there to put this nut on there. And the nut, these 3 pieces come off, the strings slide through, and then you clamp. Each piece clamps 2 strings out of the 6 strings on the guitar to clamp that unit in so it would not go out of tune. Absolutely amazing idea. And he's done very well with it. So So
no more nut sauce, Brad?
I'm using some right now, speaking.
But that was a game changer Brad, that was a game changer for guitar players, that Floyd Rose system, right? Because that enabled all these players like yourself to take using a whammy bar with a lot more confidence that you'd know it was going to stay in tune.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing, is staying in tune. That was the hard part. So Eddie Van Halen had the first one. They gave Neil Schon number 2, which he never used. I'm trying to get back from him. He says he's never used it, and it's in his garage somewhere. I said, I'll come over and help you look for it. Anyway, so the third one was available at Don Weir's Music. I wanted it. I had to have it. I went down there and I traded a 1978 Les Paul Custom for the very third Floyd Rose ever built. And Don Weir's Music, their repair department gave me new frets on the red Strat that I still use. And they added a 22nd fret on the end where they cut off the last fret and extend it and give you an extra fret, which allows you to go from a high D pulling up to E. That's tech talk. Anyway, so they did Floyd Rose and the fret job and the extra fret for the Les Paul, and everybody, what are you doing? You're stupid. You know, why? And I said, well, I think it'll pay off someday. So when I got that and got it working and acclimated with it and got it, you know, I was able to, you know, start working and get it down. Eddie was doing his dive bombs, and I started fiddling around and hitting harmonics, which is where you put your finger slightly over certain frets on certain strings, and it gets this high harmonic tone. And I started hitting this harmonic and take my whammy bar out, and I started pulling it up, going, wee, and then shaking it at the very end of the song. So I used that on the very last note of my solo and Don't Tell Me You Love Me. That's what you hear, me hitting a harmonic, bringing it up on my Floyd Rose whammy bar and shaking the shit out of it, right? Now, back then I used to look in the mirror and try to, you know, get my stage moves down, which every guitar player has done. You look on stage, you look at, yeah, right? And one day I started banging on my guitar, and I gonna bang it, and all of a sudden went, what the fuck is that? I hit a note, and then I found out. I kind of went to the end of the whammy bar, and I hit a note and flicked it, and went, and I called it my cricket sound. So very last two notes and Don't Tell Me You Love Me. And I go, actually it's 4 now. I go, wee. So those are all, those two ending segments there are Floyd Rose antics that I created and put on Don't Tell Me You Love Me solo.
Did you think that would become your signature?
I knew I had to be different and try something new. And I just, you know, how do you cut above and around the crowd with so many great players, man? You got to realize you had your Ingves coming out, and you had your, you know, Richie Blackmore's and Eddie Van Halen and your Hendrix, and all these great players are coming out. And I had to be different, man. And you know, you could play, you know, around solos and people go, oh, that's so-and-so. Oh, yeah, that's so-and-so. But I wanted something that people would definitely go, oh, that's freaking Brad Gillis. You know what I mean? And I really worked on that being my trademark sound. So that being said, 1984, 85, roughly what it was, Ronnie James Dio did the We're Stars, the Stars video song, right? And we all went down to LA. Everybody was there. Every guitar player, all the best of the best were down there. So I had to stand out of the crowd. So I did a whammy bar harmonic solo. And out of these 16 solos, which is probably 7 minutes worth of guitar solos, my little 30 seconds or whatever it is, I wanted it to be known that that was me, and people know that. And because of my trademark style, and I was able to, you know, cut above that crowd. So, you know, I throw those trademark solos in the whammy bar, pulling up and around and hitting flutters and wang bar stuff. I try to throw a little of that in each of my solos so people notice me, you know.
Hey, Brad, before we run out of time with you, because we got to wrap here in a second, tell us about this new record, because you guys went in and did something that a lot of rock bands have done over the decades in different ways, and made a record with an orchestra. I've heard some of it. It sounds really cool. Tell us about how that idea came about and what the experience was like of working an orchestra into Night Ranger music.
Well, you know, we had all definitely wanted to kick that off our bucket list because, you know, that's something we had never done. Of course, all these bands had gone out and done it. In fact, that Cleveland Youth Orchestra, they had the Jefferson Starship and Pat Benatar, Neil Giraldo do it. Styx did it with the same orchestra, you know, that type of thing. And with those guys, so we were able to get in roughly around a year ago and go in with these kids from 12 to 18 years old, the best of the best around that area, the Cleveland. And I think it was 80 plus kids. And we popped in there and they learned with their conductor, they learned a couple of weeks in advance, parts, and our keyboard player Eric Levy went in and helped them with, you know, keyboard parts, translating that to orchestration parts. And we went in and rehearsed it a couple days with them to get it right. And we did this live show, and it was absolutely awesome, man. Unbelievable. It came out sounded great. Everybody's looking good. These kids are looking great. Brian Isley from Center City Films in Philadelphia, who did a few of our videos. He filmed it all with a 12 camera shoot, and it's just amazing. And we can't wait for it to come out. I think they've already released a couple songs, but I think it's October 20th is when the actual DVDs and you know, all the different formats, worldwide release for these. I think what's it called? 40 years with the Contemporary Youth Orchestra, or whatever it's called, something to that effect. But we had a blast doing it, and I can't wait for it to get out there, because it just adds this extra little nuances and feel, you know, with an orchestra, and they do a lot of intros to songs, and which is like, at one couple points, Jack and I are turning around watching them, going, "This is cool." And we have this nice LED video screen in front, with you know, Steve Coker, our video guy, came in, and man, you know, and it's just awesome, different, cool, something new to release, and we could write that one off our bucket list.
Yeah, I saw. Go ahead,
I'm
Jim.
sorry. Did you guys nail it in one show, or did it take a few shows to get it down?
Oh, it was one show, man. Just
one show. That's it.
Right, man. You know, I mean, it was tough. You know, we didn't run around maybe as much as we usually do, because it's hard to get tight when you're running around and doing crazy stuff. But we made it happen, man. And it was a lot of work. And of course, our bands, we're pretty tight. We've been playing so much that, you know, our show's pretty tight. But hooking everything up with the orchestration band, then we do our little drum solo. All the band comes in and plays a drum solo. Then we're going back and forth with the orchestra's percussion guys, and they're playing solos, and we're playing solos, drum solos. It's amazing. I'm looking forward to getting it out there and everybody watching it, because it's definitely something new for this band. And at this point, 40 years later, it's great to do something new and exciting.
Yeah, it was actually Tommy Shaw that did it solo. It wasn't Styx, because I had Tommy on my radio show to talk about it, and Tommy just went there himself. Yes, and he just had the orchestra around him, and he did all, whether his solo songs or Styx songs. It was really cool, and those kids just nailed it. So the stuff I've seen from what you guys did was great as well. Do you guys want to get to the throwdown? You want to do that with Brad?
Yeah, let's do it with Brad.
Yep. This versus that, everybody.
What's happening?
Oh, that's right. The this versus that. What am I saying?
Yeah, whatever.
We have huge graphics budgets, Brad. So this week we're going to do best Ozzy post Randy guitar player, Zakk Wylde versus Jakey Lee. You're going to weigh in at the end, and you'll be the deciding vote. But we'll start at the top of the heap with Eddie Trunk. Who do you like better? Who's the better post Randy guitar player here?
How come Brad's not an option? Why are you being disrespectful to the guest?
We're being very respectful to him.
I just did a live record. That's good enough for me. But you guys vote.
Come on. That's disrespectful, man. My vote's Brad Gillis. Come on.
We left him out.
we couldn't fit him on the screen. We can only fit three pictures.
Yeah, look at his arms. He's huge.
He only did the one live record. I get it. So, okay. So we're not including Randy. It's stuff after Randy.
Sure.
Between these two guys, I mean, I love the stuff that Jake did so much. And I love, obviously, Zakk. And because I love them both equally, I have to give the nod to Zakk, because Zakk has done so much more. Jake's whole body of work with Ozzy is 2 records. And, you know, Bark at the Moon, they're both great records. I thought the second record got a little too polished sounding, a little more too much keys for me, which they all agree with. They'd like to remix that, but who knows? But, you know, the Bark at the Moon's insane in the solo and everything. But when you look at what Zakk did, I mean, there's like 4 times the amount of records. There's live records. There's way more tours. There's just a way bigger body of work. So I consider them both so close that I'm giving the nod to Zakk, just because there's so much more to dig into.
Yeah, I got the same opinion as you, Eddie. You know, Jake only did the 2 records. I mean, Bark at the Moon was a great record. here to follow up for Diary of a Madman, big shoes to fill. But yeah, he only played on the 2. Yeah, and the production on Ultimate Sin wasn't great. Yeah, I know Ozzy didn't like the production on that.
It was great for its time. It was Ron Nevison who everybody on the world wanted to work with because it got radio play. And he did get radio because Shot in the Dark was a huge song. How crazy is this? Shot in the Dark is the last song on that album. When has it ever been that the last song on a record became the biggest song? But Shot in the Dark, I mean, it's funny, not to go down a whole world here, but everyone wanted to work with Ron Nevison at this time because of Heart and all the success he had revitalizing them and how he got bands on the radio. And now, flash forward 40 years, and everybody's like, I want to remix the Nevison stuff because it was too synthed out or it was too sounded of its time. But he did exactly why he got work then. He delivered exactly what he wanted to. But I agree. I'd love to hear that record remixed.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll go with Zach, my pick. Don?
Yeah, well, to me, that both guys did 2 classic Ozzy albums. I know Zach did more Ozzy albums, but I think, if you really zero in on the best of the best, they both did 2 classic albums. So maybe right there, I could have them tied. But I mean, I just think for the overall image and, look at him. He's a barbarian, everything, the intensity of his playing and all that stuff. I got, and like Eddie said, there are live albums to take into account. And so, yeah, we've got to give it to the Jersey boy in the end, Zach Wilde. But it's all about the love, Brad. We love them both, but you can only choose one.
Well, I got to tell you, man, No More Tears. That song is so awesome. Him doing the slide on there and getting those squeals on his guitar. I mean, that blew me away. Now that when it goes to that orchestration section in the middle, that's okay, but it seems like it didn't really have to be there. But his playing is awesome. That's one of my favorite Ozzy songs of all time, except for the first 2 records with Randy. So I got to go with Zach. I've met him a few times, hung out with him, nicest guy in the world.
Father Gillis.
Jakey's a great player, man. Those are great records, but that tone and the stuff he did, along with his great solos and the slide work that Zach did, is just awesome. So I got to go with Zach.
The thing about Don, you brought up image. I give the nod to Jake when it comes to that, because Jake, at that time, my God, he had the look. I mean, I don't know if anybody heard this story, but that gig was supposed to go to George Lynch, and George Lynch had the gig.
Yeah.
But if you ever saw the video for Breaking the Chains, which many have, the first doc and video, George is wearing like a weird 2-tone mullet haircut. And the story goes that George had the Ozzy gig, and they decided at the last minute, let's just also audition this guy, Jake. Jake walked in with the hair. Remember, this is 83. Hair out to here, the whole look. And before he even plugged in, they were like, that's the guy. The era of MTV, the look, the image. So Jake, beyond his playing, which is extraordinary as well, had that look at that time that nailed it for him. And he was great on stage too. I just am giving Zach the nod because of the body of work is so much bigger.
And I would love to have heard because Jake had told us on that metal show that the solo at the end of Bark at the Moon was actually much more complicated, and it wasn't just that one repetitive part, but they basically told him, or the producer said, I guess Max Norman said, no, we just want that part that goes over and over. I'd love to hear the original version that he originally recorded that album. That'd be really cool. I wonder if it exists still.
You know what's amazing about Bark at the Moon too? In his entire career, Ozzy never really wrote songs, but for Bark at the Moon, somehow he had this epiphany and wrote every song completely by himself. All songs written by Ozzy Osbourne. It's amazing that bolt of lightning he had on that record. Incredible.
Do you know how he did that, Brad?
What's that?
Yeah. No, he said,
Brad's not touching it.
I mean.
All right, let's, what are we doing? We gonna let Brad go?
Yeah.
Finish up, right? Brad, thank you so much, man. Always great to hang with you and talk with you, man. We love you.
Hey, thanks. I love hanging out with the three trunks. I'll try to give you a nickname to preview. But
Hey,
hey, man,
Brad.
looking forward to coming to your 40-year anniversary. That's awesome.
Yeah, and if you want to jam, I'll set you up. We'd love to have you play one too. But I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Bring your nuts sauce.
You, man. That's awesome. I'm going to come out early and check out a Raider game on Sunday, and then see you guys on Monday. Looking forward to that, and just hitting Vegas, man. Hopefully the casinos will be open.
Hey, Brad, real quick. Your 49ers play the Giants tomorrow night. Any predictions? Said he's a big Giants fan.
The Niners are doing great, man. I'm totally into the Niners. I'm a Raiders-Giants guy. Giants, like he puts his hat on, I say Giants.
Right.
I'm a Niner Raider guy, but I've always been a Raider guy since 1975. And I used to hang out with John Matuszak and Kitty Stabler and
Nice.
Dave Casper. I bought 6 vintage Martin guitars from Dave Casper back in the day, man. And just great guy. And, I've been on the field for Raider games. And, once a Raider fan, always a Raider fan. So,
he's a Raiders guy. He doesn't care about tomorrow then. He's fine.
Oh, no. Because I dig the Niners, man. They're local. They're great. And I can only follow the Raiders around to only 2 or 3 cities. So they're on their third, after LA back here, and now they're in Vegas. So, but I want to check out the new Allegiant Stadium. Looking forward to that. But
yeah, it's awesome.
It'll be great.
Yeah. All right, Brad. Thanks, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
Good
Brad.
seeing you. Say hi to the guys.
Hey, Brad.
He's great.
There he goes.
Yeah.
Awesome. Love
Awesome
that guy.
dude.
Love that band. All right, what else we got to do? Anything else, or are we ending it? Death metal?
Death metal picks.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever.
Let's get that in real quick.
Do the death
So-
metal
Alright,
thing, and then, or do you want to save
We
it for
doing
the
our
after show?
Fox picks?
Yeah, let's do both. All right, let's do
Well-
death metal.
I don't. You know what? I don't even know. I don't even remember what they are. These things are coming in so fast and furious from friends, from fans, from people. I don't even know what I picked this week. So put it up there, and I'll try to guess it with you. There. we
Holy
go.
shit.
It's a great album cover. Human Pudding. That's great.
I thought that might be hard to read, so I zoomed it in a little for you.
Thank you, Joe.
There you go.
This has gotten so crazy. Don, remember I sent you a picture a couple weeks ago? I was in Vegas and they had a band coming up playing and I took a picture of it for you. You knew immediately what it was.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Max Cavalera?
Yeah, the Morbid Devastation tour. Yeah.
Yeah. It was, all right, let me see if I can do this. Wow, that's crazy.
I could see a bunch of letters in there, but I can't pick out any of them.
Let's start with the first one. That should be easy.
Is that a D?
That's not easy.
Is
No,
it a
it's
P?
not.
It is
It
a
looked
pig.
like, it looks
P.
like a lion's head.
Don, is this a commonly
It does.
used word?
No, this is. You're gonna have to figure this one out from scratch. It kind of looks like a dragon.
Look, I'm just consumed with the insanity of the photo of gutted people with the guy eating them in a bowl. Holy
Human
God.
pudding.
And that tube going in her vagina right there. That blood, taking the blood out.
I can't imagine what this sounds like.
Well,
I'm not
I even forget what it. I forget what it is.
PED.
I got. You know what? I don't.
Joe, do you
forget.
know? Because Don doesn't even know. We stumped Don on his own bit.
Yeah, I've
Jonah.
got it somewhere. I need to find it. I don't remember though. Hold on.
I got to go at
Wait,
some
I'll-
point, so I'm never going to get this.
This was sent in by a fan named, I think, Jen. I meant to. I forgot her last name, but thank you for sending this in. Thank you.
A girl
everybody
sent
sending
this
these
in?
A girl approves of this album
Yeah.
cover. That's great.
Yeah, I think she's the vagina.
So
She's
it's
the what?
She might be the girl on the left with the tube in her vagina. I don't know.
it's peeling flesh.
Peeling
peeling
flesh.
flesh. Peeling flesh. Yeah. There you
I
go.
have no idea how that says that.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see it now a little bit.
Right? Yep.
Peeling. There's something in the middle.
I see the
Before it-
G. The only thing I see is the G.
And then you can see the word flesh now if you know it's there.
Who Totally serious question here. Who comes up with these? Like, who does that? Like, is there like a major known artist who is known for doing death metal logos? Because it's really an art form to be able to do that. I'm not even joking. Like, there's got to be one or two guys, like in regular album art, there's 1, 2, 3 well-known companies, guys that do very distinct art. To come up with that's like insane. Like, who does that? It's not like the bass player that did that.
There are some guys there are some artists that are really well known in the death metal world. But I don't know who did this one, but I just love the guy that looks like George the Animal Steel there.
Yeah.
All right. Peeling Flesh. Thank you. Check it out.
That's going to be my pick of the week next week.
Let's coming, so let's make a nice gift for somebody.
All right, let's get to our picks.
All right, my pick is a new Danko Jones record. Just came out this past Friday. Electric Sounds. I think it's like the 12th or 13th studio record. If you like the last 12, you're going to love this. Same formula. But it sounds great. It's like, he doesn't change the sound, which is awesome. It's just like AC/DC, just like Slayer, Motorhead. So it's really good. And, underrated band. Never made it in the States for some reason, but big overseas. But check it out. Yeah, Canadian
nice
band.
Canadian boys, yeah.
Yeah, so check it out, Danko Jones, Electric Sounds.
All right, mine is something that I was treated to last night, and it's called 3-Chord Bourbon, and it's a perfectly tuned taste, and it is brought to you by none other than Neil Giraldo, who obviously is married to and plays with Pat Benatar, band branded liquor, and he's extremely hands-on with it. It was goddamn delicious. We all had a little bit, and I got a 3-Chords hat here, so I got some swag, and really great stuff.
Was he there, Don? Was he at the show?
No. The promoter Ross that I worked with, on the Lita show is partners with him on this, and like he's like I said, he's real hands-on. If you go to 3chord bourbon.com, there's a video up there. It tells you all about it, and you can shop online and get yourself a bottle. But yeah, really good stuff. So you see a lot of bands, especially with the bourbon these days. Anthrax has a bourbon. Our friend Pete Evick from Bret Michaels band has a bourbon. These guys have a bourbon, and so yeah, Neil Giraldo there, and of course we love Pat Benatar. So there you go. And
Jesse James Dupree has a bourbon, a good one too. All right, my pick is the new album from Corey Taylor, which is now out. We had Corey on this show, but this is the glorious CD version that I have, which is my preference, and it is CMF2. Look at the beautiful, shiny, always great, wonderful disc and packaging, and I have it, and I've listened to it several times. Really like it. Little heavier than the first record. Great songs, great vocals from Corey, great guitar playing from Zach Throne, Kristen Martucci, our buddy Jay Rustin, phenomenal production. So really, really like what Corey's doing with his solo stuff. He's currently out on tour right now with the band, and the second record is now out. And if you're like me, there's some Slipknot stuff I like, but I'm not a huge Slipknot guy because it's a bit extreme for my tastes at times. But if you love straight up hard rock, so if you hear Corey Taylor and you're like, oh, it's going to be like super heavy. What Corey does with this is not. It's straight up hard rock, singing, everything, great melody, but still crunchy. CMF2, it's out now. It's killer.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to like a Stone Sour stuff, which isn't as heavy as Slipknot. But yeah, it's a great record. That was going to be my pick for next week. I had those two albums come out the same day. But yeah, it's really good. Corey was really talking up the record. It's really good because there'd be a nice acoustic song. Corey's voice doing acoustic stuff is phenomenal. So it breaks up the record. Then you got a heavy song. So it's all over the place, but it's really solid, the whole record.
Well, Jim, you could do Peeling Flesh next week.
I'm going to.
If you missed our interview with Corey, he was with us on That Rock. So all you got to do is go back, and again, all the episodes are archived for you to watch free on YouTube anytime you want. Corey is up there. He was on with us about, I don't know, 6-7 episodes ago. So check that out. Just search it on YouTube. You'll find it. Jim, what do you want to hit? The merch? What do you got to set? What do we got to do? The membership?
Yeah, we got That Rocks t-shirts. Just go to that website there. There's a link in the bio underneath. And then also the after show. Join as a member. We do a show right after this for our members only and stuff. So the link is right there. Just click on member and you can figure it out from there.
Little extra time. And do the 3Xs in on the shirts or what?
The 3Xs are in. The XLs. We had to order more XLs. You know, everyone that used to be a large, just skinny metalheads, are slowly morphing into an XL. I noticed it because I sell shirts at my shows, and the XLs are the big sellers now because they just put on you hit your mid-50s, you put a little more weight on, you have to switch to an XL, and that's really disheartening for a metalhead. Like, you've been wearing large your whole life, you're like, fuck, now I got to go to XL. I get it. I fluctuate in between.
We should sell them like that. You got to buy the large and extra large together as a package deal.
Right. So when you lose the weight, you're back into the large. So,
right.
How do I get one? Do I have to go to Merch Mountain to get one myself?
I'll bring one to your 40th anniversary show.
I got to wait till December.
That's your present.
Thank you.
And by the way, the new Corey Taylor album sounds way better on vinyl. Hey, last call for my special, filming at McSorley's Old Ale House in New York City this Sunday, the 24th of September. Free tickets available at brownpapertickets.com. I'm going to videotape it, audio tape it, Metal Blade will put it out, and we'll put out the video version at some point. So if you come out to the show, look camera.
All right, and check me and Don Jameson out, World Cafe Live in Philadelphia on Saturday, October 7th and October 13th. I'll be at the Mountaineer Casino in New Cumberland, West Virginia. All dates on my website, jimflorentine.com.
What do I got coming up? October 13th, Tulsa, free show with John Karabi, Graffiti Lounge. It's now a free show. So come on out and join us for that. I got the Sands in Cancun coming up. Good stuff going on. Just keep an eye on my socials, and hopefully we'll be releasing more tickets at some point on my party in Vegas. They all sold out instantly. Thank you for that. But we will and hopefully have more to release closer to the actual date. Please do not buy from scalpers, secondary market, StubHub, any of that stuff. Don't do it, please, because I will release more tickets. And the reason why I say that is because I'm giving all the money to the Dio Cancer Fund. So why give that upcharge to some scalping operation? Save it and buy the tickets legit, so the money will go to a good cause. Not going to me, it's going to a good cause. So if you can, hold off, please. Don't go to the scalpers. Wait, and we will definitely give you an opportunity to buy more tickets. And then, if you really want to get in, do what you got to do.
All right, we'll see you guys next. We'll see you guys next week, and for our members, we'll be back in a few minutes.
We know next week's show, don't we already, Don?
Sort of. There will be an apathy or an appease, or possibly both next week. That's all I can say.
All right, keep an eye on the socials for day and time and all that. We'll get that dialed in. Thanks, everybody.